Boxcast is a live streaming service provider. They create hardware encoders as well as software streaming plans so you can automate your church's live streams on Sunday morning. Boxcast kindly sent me their BoxCaster Pro hardware encoder to try out. We've been using the entry-level BoxCaster encoder for the past 2 months here at South Fellowship Church. We've enjoyed the results of it, but they make this higher-end encoding device that allows you to stream using the HEVC codec, the high-efficiency video coding codec, which in a nutshell allows you to stream higher quality video and audio. And we've really enjoyed using the BoxCaster encoder. It's been reliable for us. It's all automated. The streaming platform has been great. And I really think the BoxCaster is one of the best values for your dollar when it comes to encoding devices. My only complaint is that I do believe the video quality could be a bit better. The BoxCaster uses the traditional AVC encoding or H.264, which is a less efficient way of encoding video to send it online. Because remember, the whole issue with live streaming video and audio online is how do you compress it in a way so that it can be delivered to all of your viewers, but how do you make sure you don't compress it too much so that it actually loses quality? So that's the value proposition of the BoxCaster Pro that interests me the most. We'll see that this guy does have other bells and whistles, but all I really care about is the higher quality codec and bitrate that we're going to be able to stream with for our church. The downside of this guy is that it costs almost 10 times more than the BoxCaster. So Boxcast, if you're watching this video, you probably are. Please, please, please make some sort of like mid-level encoder that doesn't have some of the features that this guy has, which are cool, but churches just don't need them. Make something that's mid-level between your BoxCaster and the BoxCaster Pro that doesn't have as much hardware features as the BoxCaster Pro, but it has better encoding codec options than the BoxCaster. Pretty please. So it's a Saturday right now. I want to go ahead. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to set it up here at South Fellowship Church. I'll put it right next to our Boxcaster. I'll get the video feed, our program feed from our ATEM going into this guy, and then I'll show you what it's like to go into the Boxcast streaming platform to make sure that it's set up for our automated live streams tomorrow morning for worship. The first thing I like is this cool carrying case. But again, for a church setting where we are not a church plant, maybe this would be great if you are a church plant, but for us, most churches aren't plants. We don't really need a fancy carrying case. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up. Yes, and I can already tell by just taking this out of the box how much higher quality the build of this device and its chassis is compared to the regular Boxcaster, which is pretty much all plastic. This has some nice high quality metal. Everything just looks and feels super solid. It's got a nice display on it, which is going to allow us to monitor some of the settings of the stream by just looking at the screen on the encoder. Again, the Boxcaster, you don't have that option. It's got stereo audio inputs, XLR, or it could be 1/4-inch inputs as well. We've got our HDMI in, so we could send our program feed in there, or it also has SDI in, which I really, really love for a professional video environment to have the locking connectors of SDI. It also has an SDI out. So this is kind of cool if we wanted to make sure we could actually monitor the stream that's being sent into the encoder. We could, connect another display somewhere just to make sure that everything looks the way it should. It's got a nice Ethernet port. It's got a headphone jack as well to monitor audio. And then it's got a USB port, USB-C, and a power connector. And of course, I'll go ahead and link the webpage for this device down below this video. You can see the comparison page where they compare all the specs of this to the regular Boxcaster. And then it also comes with a power supply. Taking out of the box is super simple. I'm already very familiar with Boxcast encoders and how easy it is to set them up. One thing I'm going to do now that I'm thinking about it is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take a picture of the back of the encoder so I get that serial number, because I'm going to need that serial number when I go into the Boxcast software and I want to add this device to our streaming plan. So I'll head on over to the church and let's go ahead and get this guy installed in our video rack. Okay, here we are at the video rack. Here is the Boxcaster Pro. I took about 3 to 5 minutes to get this guy plugged in. The part that always takes the longest is just plugging my SDI cables into the back of this guy. So we have our program from this guy, our video switcher, going into our hub. And then I ran an SDI out from the hub, sending program into the BoxCaster Pro right here with this cable. And then I plugged in an Ethernet connection to our networking switch that's up there. So we have a hardline internet connection. Of course, if I wanted to, one of the features is I could use Wi-Fi, but I don't want to use Wi-Fi. I want to use Ethernet. As soon as I plugged in the SDI cable, it detected the SDI video signal here. We're at 2997, 1080p, and then it's giving me a nice little preview of our program feed, which I love. Like, this is really nice to be able to preview our feed coming into the encoder. And then I can also see that audio is metering there. So it's a great quick reference to know everything at least is getting to the encoder just fine. And then the next step, now that I have it connected to the internet, is to go ahead, pull up my Boxcast software and make sure this is added to my scheduling. But again, I really love the hardware. I love the little light that they have around it. That's really cool. So that's what the BoxCast Pro looks like once it is installed. And then here's our Boxcaster. I still have that guy plugged in as well. So we could actually toggle between different encoding devices if we wanted to. So I've got my laptop. I went to the dashboard for my Boxcast control software. And first thing I need to do is I need to go to sources, and then I need to add a new source. So here's our existing South Fellowship Boxcaster. And this was funny because as I opened up my sources here, it looks like the Boxcast team already added this encoder to my account. So here it says BoxCaster Pro. So thank you, Boxcast team, for making this even easier for me. I didn't even have to go in here and add the source, but let's go ahead and have a little fun editing this encoder. So I can go here into edit settings, and then I can go into video. I can select, what I want the resolution to be. Frame rate, I don't need to make a high frame rate. For audio source, I'm going to just select embedded only. That's the audio embedded in the SDI because we combine our audio and video at the ATEM switcher, so the audio is already in it. And then for streaming, I can go and I can toggle my Boxcast flow settings. So I'm going to go ahead and make it enhance. So it actually gives the stream a little bit more wiggle room in case if there's any issues with internet connectivity. Then for target bitrate, man, I can go very, very high for target bitrate. So I'm going to let it actually stay on auto detect right now because with our internet upload speeds at the church, we should have the fastest internet Comcast has to offer, but I'd rather let Boxcast kind of determine what the bit rate should be. Same thing for audio. And then I'm not going to change anything down here. All right, I'll go ahead and go back to overview here. Let's go ahead and name this encoder to something else like, please donate this to South Fellowship. Thanks. There we go. So now that I have the Boxcaster Pro inside the software, I have it renamed. Let's actually go ahead and do a test broadcast. So I love how easy they make it to just start a test broadcast. I don't have to worry about, making sure that, things aren't going to the social channels because it's not. It's just a complete test that's only going to happen within the Boxcast dashboard right here. And then usually it takes anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute for it actually to fire up the stream. And we already saw that the encoder did preview the program feed just fine. So that is working. It's getting video and audio. So now it's just time to see if I can, pull up the stream here from my office. All right, there we go. So I've got a Pro Presenter slideshow just looping with some music in the background. So I'm able to verify that both the audio and the video are coming through the Boxcaster Pro just fine. So I've got the encoder added to my software. I verified that it is working just fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'll just stop this test broadcast here. I don't need to keep encoding. I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on our upcoming stream settings. So for our rehearsal and first service stream, this isn't public, but this is what we're going to see when we want to check to make sure the stream and everything looks and sounds okay privately. I'm going to make sure here that we have the right source selected. So I'm going to go to edit broadcast, and then under source, I'm going to go ahead and select please donate this to South Fellowship. Thanks. Then I'm going to go ahead and press save changes. And I want to apply this to all upcoming broadcasts in the series. So that means all of the future scheduled broadcasts that I already created, it's going to apply the same settings with this encoder. Then I have to go back to our public stream that happens on Sunday mornings. I'm going to go ahead and go to edit broadcast. And then I'm going to go ahead and select, please donate this to South Fellowship. Thanks. I also want to change the title of our broadcast name to something else. I like to say, join us live for worship at South Fellowship Church. I'm interested in what you guys title your Sunday morning stream. We like to have this kind of default title of like, hey, join us live for worship, just so people know it's worship, right? That's why I didn't like the previous title, because it just says, we are live. It's like, well, live for what, right? And then what happens is our comms director usually comes into the stream pretty much soon after it starts broadcasting or during the service to like rename it the title of the sermon series. But I'm interested to hear what you guys do. So now I'm applying the settings for our Sunday morning service, right? So it starts at 10:40 a.m., goes to 12:20 p.m., and then we have all these other advanced settings here we can change as well. I'll make sure my video bitrate and audio bit rates are set to auto as well, just to ensure that everything goes smoothly this first Sunday. And if I feel like I can crank it all the way up to as high as it can go, like 18 megabits per second, then maybe I'll go ahead and try that some other weekend. So we publish to both Facebook and YouTube, and then we also publish our BoxCast embed code in the Church Online platform, so people can watch that way as well. Most people watch on Church Online platform, then YouTube, and then Facebook gets probably the least amount of views out of the three options. All right, so I'll go ahead and hit save changes, and I want to save it to all upcoming broadcasts in this series. And there you have it. I'm set to go for Sunday morning. This was super quick and easy to set up. They already added the encoder to my account, but if I had to do that myself, that would have been really simple. Under sources, I just go ahead and go to add a source. I would then go ahead and select streaming hardware, add this source, and then I would just put the serial number in there, make sure it's connected to the internet, and we would have been good to go. So they saved me only about like 15 seconds. Thanks, guys. The next step is for me to show up on Sunday morning and do absolutely nothing with the live stream. It'll all just happen in the background. I'll be able to monitor the stream during rehearsal in the first service, which is a private stream, and then at 10:40, our public stream will kick off, and we will use our BoxCaster Pro for the first time. So then what I want to do after that is really just make that comparison between the video quality, between the AVC and the HEVC codecs, to see if we can really notice the difference with the BoxCaster Pro. So now it is Sunday morning. It is during our second service at South Fellowship. We are actually viewing right now the live stream that's happening right now within our worship center using the BoxCaster Pro. When we actually go live, the first thing I like about the BoxCaster Pro is that the LED light on the actual chassis of the device turns red, so it's kind of cool to let you know just visually when you're walking by the encoder that it's live, it's working fine, you can see the program feed coming into it, and you can monitor the audio as well. So the big difference with the BoxCaster Pro is the HEVC encoding option. It gives you some more frame rate options as well, but we are streaming 29:9:7 at 1080p using HEVC with the BoxCaster Pro. Here is the final result. So this is being streamed live right now onto my computer. I'm just capturing the screen for you using QuickTime. So let's compare this to last week's stream. So here was last week. So of course we did zoom in a little bit more. I think I bumped the ISO on the camera a little bit more to help him kind of pop. But I am noticing a sharpness on the image with the BoxCaster Pro that I don't see using the regular BoxCaster on the week before. And are you going to be able to tell the difference using a mobile device like your phone or your iPad when you're watching? Maybe, maybe not. But especially when you pull the sermon up on a full screen desktop and maybe you're watching the service at home on a TV, you could tell the difference in sharpness here. But notice the sharpness of his sweater. He's got these little white squiggly lines on his sweater, and they look incredibly sharp here in this image with the BoxCaster Pro. Also, you can just see the hair looks a lot sharper. Those are the things that I'm looking at. And then the other thing I noticed too is that the dark parts of the image look really great. You don't kind of get that, blotchiness that you often get with the AVC encoding. So when I pull up these darker angles here, sometimes in the really dark spots of the video, you can just tell there's a little bit of compression, blotchiness that's happening there. Again, very subtle. I'm a video guy. I make videos all the time. I notice these types of things. Yeah, so I could not be happier with the results of the BoxCaster Pro. Now, keep in mind that the price of the BoxCaster Pro is 10x more than the BoxCaster, maybe a little bit less than 10x more. So does it look 10 times better? Not really. You definitely are paying for better hardware, some more input-output features. That touchscreen monitor allows you to monitor your program feed that's being encoded. But when it comes to image and audio quality, I would say you're seeing maybe like a 10 to 20% increase in quality that a video geek like myself would notice. Would your average congregant notice this? Probably not. So to me, the BoxCaster Pro, if you have the budget for it, I think it's a great option, and it definitely could be a great option if you're portable and you really need a robust portable encoder for your church's setup. I think for the majority of churches, the BoxCaster encoder, the entry-level one, will suffice and it will get the job done well. You'll have all the fun features of using the Boxcast software. And I would recommend the BoxCaster Pro only if you really, really care about the additional input-output ports on the device itself, and if you really care about the HEVC compression that it's applying to your video feed, which is pretty much going to get you the best video audio results you could ask for when you're actually streaming live. I hope now you understand why I wish there was some sort of mid-level option. I think for our church, what would be perfect is to have the HEVC encoding, and I'm fine with not having one of the monitors on the encoder or any of the fancy hardware like the LED lights and all that stuff. I really just want a Boxcaster that gives us the ability to have the HEVC encoding, and that would be the dream scenario. And maybe that encoder would be somewhere between the $1,000 to $1,500 price range. So I would love to see that Boxcast. Chat with me if you want to chat more about it. But I think it's just too big of a gap between a $400 encoder that's entry level and then $3,500. It's like a really big gap budget wise. And for a lot of churches, that additional, few $1,000s for the BoxCaster Pro would probably be better spent towards the streaming plan that they're going to have to subscribe to when they want to sign up for this service. So that's just me thinking out loud about the finances of it. You will not regret getting a BoxCaster Pro, and this is just after one Sunday of using it. I can tell the difference. The device is amazing. I highly, highly recommend if it makes sense for your church's budget. Go ahead, check out the links below this video for the BoxCaster, the BoxCaster Pro, the Boxcast service plans. Talk to their sales representatives if you want specifics on what's going to be the best fit for your church. Big thanks to Boxcast for lending me this BoxCaster Pro. I'm not sure if or ever they're going to get it back because I love it so much. I don't really want to give it back. But big thanks to them for letting me try it out. I hope to test it out here at South Fellowship Church, at least for the next couple weeks or month or so, or, decade or so. And I'll let you guys know if there's any major updates or issues with this device by pinning a comment below this video. If you would like my team's help in implementing the best possible live streaming infrastructure for your church so you can get high quality audio, high quality video, we can help you assemble an encoding system like Boxcast. Go ahead and reach out to us at worshipministryschool.com. Click the Get Started button, fill out the application form, and we'll hop on a free strategy session. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.